Hello, everyone. Welcome to Master Powercast. Today, I'm used to saying tonight because I'm used to the whole.
It's a bit of a body shock there.
Yeah, it's been a week. I'll put it that way. But today we're gonna be bouncing back to some She-Ra. We're gonna do an episode review for you all. We're gonna go through the episode much like we've done the past couple times. But before we get into that, couple things for you collectors out there. A little bit of news. Mondo teased Man-E-Faces earlier this week.
Looks badass.
I mean, Mondo has definitely turned the corner on these things. At first, the designs at the beginning were okay, but now they've really turned it into we want to make it more accurate to vintage to 2000X classics. Look out for that. I didn't look up any of the dates. I would assume a little bit later this year, maybe even a month or two from now. I don't know the details on it, but that's going to be a nice looking figure. And let's go ahead. Got to do it. For those of you into the Origin stuff, this launches on July 1st, and it could be yours for $92. The Fright Zone playset. Coming out. Unfortunately, their website is weird. I can't just click on these images and show you a bigger image and then zoom in on it. It's just got them fragmented like this. But yeah, July 1st, the Fright Zone will be out. $92 though. Like, God, I think they're running a thing right now that I saw that if you spend more than $75, it's free shipping. So at least you don't have to pay for shipping on this, I don't think. But that might change in 2 days when this launches. But $92 is kind of a lot for a playset that's it's going to be to scale of what you remember from the original Fright Zone. So it's not that big. I guess in today's economy and today's action figure collecting landscape, I guess $92 for a playset's not that bad. But I don't know. Is what it is, right?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look bad other than giving the beast monster legs and all that nonsense. It's like a giant snake dragon kind of thing. I'm like, it doesn't need legs. It's not a whatever. It's just one of the many reasons why I'm just like, no, it's not for me.
I just wanted to put that out there for anyone that's into Mondo, into Origins, and Zentron asking here, is that with or without tax? That is without tax. So yeah, you throw on the tax onto that too. And even if you have free shipping, I would imagine that's still going to be well over $100.
Oh, easy. At least 110.
Yeah. And it also depends on where you live too, because I know state by state, the tax is different. And I didn't even check.
All we can say is that's what you get for supporting Origins, you know?
Nah, well, it is what it is.
I dealt with classics, man. I bit the bullet on all these ungodly prices and bought figures I didn't want, bought Grayskull, and you're just getting pounded, you know, in terms of money. So
yeah,
you know, it's what you got to do. But at least most of the stuff that people are buying with Origins and Masterverse is you know, better priced, but can't compare the quality. I'll just stop there.
Well, Zentron thing here in the UK, it's 20%. So yeah, honestly, if you're trying to collect this stuff in the UK and Canada, anywhere else but the United States, I feel for you because the price skyrockets. But yeah, is there anything else that you would want to discuss, talk about before we get into reviewing the?
Not that I can think of, man.
Talent for trouble.
Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to. No, not really.
All right.
Yeah, nothing that's gonna set the world on fire or make for highly entertaining conversation.
All right, that's fair. Hey, gotta ask.
The only thing I could share is Nathan's already aware of it, and it's not worth talking about. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess we will. Man, I was trying to think of a cool way to do this, but I can't push the buttons in the correct way at the same time. But how about we'll do this, and then I'll click on the thing.
Okay.
There we go.
Perfect. I like that. That's great, man. Yeah. Yeah. People, please give Nathan all the credit in the world. He's making the He-Man podcast like it's hands above anything that's been done before, and no one's gonna be able to top what he's been putting together.
I'm sure someone will come along.
No.
I think there's a way on here that I can set up scenes. So I need, it's in beta. I see it off to the side. I've never really messed with it. That's probably something I need to do because I think that's how I can make that seem a little more seamless. But I'll mess with that at a later time. But there you go. You get a little special effect for you.
Very cool.
A talent for trouble, Tyler. This is one of your favorite She-Ra episodes.
Correct? It is my favorite She-Ra episode.
Like, this is number one.
This is number one. Has been since I was a kid, and nothing's changed since. You know, Huntar's right at number 2. But
I think I know why, obviously. But what are some of the details you can give us about this episode before we dive in? Any little trivia bits? Because for the She-Ra stuff, I'd have to dig out the big heavy book, and I don't want to do that. So is there anything that you can toss in for us?
In terms of trivia, you know, it's the only appearance of Mantisaur, you know, which is like a prototype design of Hordak's steed. It's the only time it's ever been featured. It's, you know, Orko's first appearance in the She-Ra series. Other than that, you know, it's just a very well-written story by the great Larry DiTillio, and one that I rented on VHS and have seen them out. The one She-Ra tape I've rented the most, and it was the only time I was aware of a He-Man crossover with She-Ra until I was in 5th grade. There was no other tapes available, not Secret of the Sword or nothing. So this was my first time seeing He-Man and She-Ra interact. So it was a big damn deal to watch this a lot. And it was accompanied with the Laughing Dragon too on VHS. So yeah, I rented it a lot. And I just fell in love with this story. I thought the villains were depicted very competently and aggressive, and it's not done for laughs. It's not done to take the piss out of the characters or anything like that. It's a very the horror threatening characters in it, and the heroes are very likable, very well written, and just a fun action adventure rescue story.
It goes by really fast too.
Yes, it does.
Very quick. Directed by Mark Glamick.
I say that a lot of the directors in general, I just, you know, I'm aware of some of the ones that were, you know, that kind of moved up the ranks and started directing, but I could not tell you anything about him. Or the Reverend James Eatock could tell you more about him probably than I could. Just the fact that Larry wrote it, and I wasn't aware. I didn't catch on to that till I got a little bit older. I'm like, hey, that's the guy who wrote all these other episodes that I love so much. So.
We start the episode here with a really great panning shot over to Grayskull.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It might be one I should use for a little intro at some point.
That's a good idea. Let's go ahead and mark that one down.
But we enter Grayskull. We have Orko talking here with the Sorceress, and the Sorceress wants Orko to help her clean. Which
seems pretty logical. It's a castle. She's the only one there, and I think she kind of get tired of like
doing that shit by
dusty
herself
and dirty, and like I'm the only one here, you know. So the fact that Orko's willing to volunteer his time, like, yeah, I'll come help you clean the place up.
And she warns him, like, hey, steer clear of all the trappings within. Just
there's doorways all over the castle.
Stay in your lane.
Yeah, so just be cautious. And he's like, oh, I'm always careful, and then just
bumbles around. So you were talking about. It doesn't take the piss out of anything, and here it doesn't, because with Orko, you need to have that lighthearted.
You need to set him up for the fact that he's going to stumble into a gateway.
Something,
yeah. So it's just setting it up as and it could have happened abruptly as well, but it's a good warning of kind of letting the audience know, like, something's probably going to happen to Orko here in the castle.
Yeah, and Sorceress uses her magic. Fantasia vibes I got from this with the 3 mops.
And as Orko's just kind of sweeping and dusting here, it's kind of like a mission. And I always enjoyed this little moment with this door knocker that just comes to life. That just the way he's animated, I liked that as a kid. And that Orko was being polite about trying to, like putting his finger under his nose so the skull doesn't sneeze, and the skull like thanks him for it. I just thought that was a fun moment as a kid. And right there, and he's gracious for that. and Orko goes right back to sweeping, and oh yeah.
Well, it's pretty much just as soon as he walks away, it stirs up another cloud.
Yeah.
At that point, he sneezes, blows Orko through, and
a door, and lands right in the middle of Etheria.
Yeah, which that's kind of crazy that this would just be open in that way, just there existing.
Yeah.
Kind of. I thought that was kind of odd that it's just the portal's just there statically and he goes through it, and then as soon as he does, then it closes. You would think that if it's been just sitting there open this amount of time, that it would be no problem.
See, I take it, and because I think it's into the episode where Granomir shows up in She-Ra. It's not a good episode, unfortunately. But when Adora is taking the path, the corridor, she walks through it, and it shows what it looks like when you're traveling from one area to another, and it's like this time and space world, and she's just so I take it as like once that door opens in Grayskull, this door would be opened up on the other side because it's already been opened.
Yeah.
So once the doors close, or once whoever's going through has landed, like all the other portals, it's just it's there temporarily. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought it was just odd that it's there and it's open. But whatever. It's a plot. It moves the story.
Yeah.
So I had no qualms with it. But Orko goes through, it closes, and then he's like, well, where am I?
A nice, kind of painting shots of the environment of the outskirts of the Whispering Woods there, and it was so cool as a kid to see all of a sudden here comes Madame Razz and Broom and collide right into Orko as he's just kind of taking in his surroundings. And there's Loki.
Yeah, there's Loki. We found Loki.
Yeah.
Pretty easy to spot Loki in this episode.
Yeah. And then here comes Madame Razz and Broom right at the camera and collide right into him. And it's just a fun moment that the two magician characters, interacting for the first time. It just makes for a great crossover, and how they both think the other is odd looking. Like,
yeah,
they're like,
even though they look very similar to each other in a way,
very, very much. And I love Orko's, and I love Broom. I've always liked the character. I like how Lou Scheimer voices him. I like his animation, the way he looks. And I just like how Orko just looks at him and says, "You're a Broom?" He's like, "Of course I am, but what are you?" And it's like, I'm a wizard. And they look at each other like, "You're a wizard?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we've heard of wizards." But I just love that to them, in a world filled with all kinds of creatures and beings, like Orko really stands out as like, what the hell are you?
Yeah.
It just shows you how vast their world is and how it is in contrast to Eternia. But Orko does come.
I was going to say, we're going to find out more about just how weird Orko is.
Yeah.
That's kind of the beauty of it. It's almost like them talking to him about this early on when they first meet up is sort of setting up to the payoff for later in the episode.
What's really going to happen to him. And again, and Montana tends to be the biggest whipping boy of the entire series. And right now he's
taking charge.
He's in charge and succeeds. And I love that about him. He's not done for laughs. They don't take the piss out of him here. The Horde Troopers freeze Orko, and Madame Razz and Broom takes off to get the hell out of there and try to get some help.
And I like seeing Montana yell at the Horde Troopers and telling them that they.
Me too. This is one of those early viewings where I'm seeing the Horde depicted as competent, intelligent, and evil characters, not ones that are just slipping on banana peels and made to look like they're just idiots, trying to supposedly take down the rebels. Like, this is one of those first early times where I'm seeing them as a legitimate threat. And that's how I viewed them for a long time, until you start seeing these other episodes where, like, God, man, why are they writing the Horde so badly in these episodes?
But I like that. Obviously, you can tell that Montana has been talked down to so much by Hordak that it's seeing him take that energy and putting it on to the Horde Troopers, and it's I got a chuckle out of this because it was nice to just see him put it on, and just like, you can tell that aspect on is making him angrier and bitter. So now he has an opportunity to take it out on someone else, and it was nice to see that side of him.
And really, the Horde Troopers are about the bottom of the barrel in terms of like you can be as ugly and hateful and aggressive with them, and they're not going to retaliate. But
I mean,
that's good right there. But it kind of validates that Montana is in league. I mean, he's right there on the same level as like Catra, Grizzlord, Leech, and Shadow. We were like they're below Hordak, but they are to be respected, and that they are competent and they know what they're doing. At least that's how I'm viewing, this episode and others as a kid until I would see others.
So we get the transition shot, and then we have Adora just kind of chilling out here. It's a nice little pose too. I like
it. It's very relaxed.
See these moments of relaxation, just taking in the view of just it's a nice day, no trouble so far. This is nice.
And that Madame Raz and Broom are the ones doing the scouting report. Like, it's not, she doesn't feel the necessary to like turn into She-Ra and just go around with Swiftwind.
Yeah.
She's just, all right, things are pretty calm. I think Madame Raz can handle the scout report and see if there's any horde tactation, going on, or someone's, stirring up trouble. Like, she can just, take it easier. But to see suddenly Broom is taking off past them and Madame Raz is nowhere to be seen, like, Adora recognizes, like, oh, that's not good.
Yep.
Yeah. And this is a kid too. I didn't understand like the full connection other than they said they're brother and sister. But just seeing She-Ra in front of Grayskull in this beautiful transformation sequence, it just captivated me as a kid because it's like fireworks, like sparklers, like coming out of the power sword, and then it turns to the Crystal Castle, which I had no idea what it really was for years. Just that I thought was like her, I guess, home base, even though I never saw it.
That's really interesting too. Is just what we're getting here is just your perspective of this from a kid seeing it for the first time, just being enamored with Orko's here, the sorceress is here, and then trying to understand everything else that's happening after that, and trying to piece everything together because you haven't seen Secret of the Sword and all this stuff at this point. So
no, and She-Ra, I did see She-Ra on TV as a child in the afternoon. I do remember, but it was so little. Like, I just remember seeing a group shot of like Leech, Catra, I think Montana, and Grizzlord in one episode, I think. And we're talking like 1987, like before my brother was born.
Yeah.
And I just remember seeing it in the afternoon, I think after I got home from daycare, and I just thought it was awesome. And I think at that time, I don't even know, I didn't even realize that He-Man and She-Ra were brother and sister. I just would see her behind or in front of Grayskull. And up until I rented this, I had no idea they were brother and sister because, like, I wanted He-Man and She-Ra to get together because that was because I had no idea. Even it says in the title sequence, Adam's twin sister. It's not registered for me as a 3-year-old. Yeah. I just see this really hot girl. I want her to get with the guy I aspire to be. That's just how I looked at it.
No, that's fair. I guess the other direction you could have taken that too is maybe like, she's the new He-Man on Eternia kind of thing, just because you see Grayskull and just thinking that maybe that's Eternia too or something. So
that was probably the biggest conundrum because I'm like, it's the Horde, and I'm like, I got all of them, and I'm just like, that's
I guess that's the other thing too with the Horde figures coming out in the Master Universe line and not really having that connection to the She-Ra toy line either. I could see that being incredibly confusing for a really young kid.
It was like I didn't question like why aren't the Horde in the He-Man cartoon even though they're a He-Man toy line. It was just like there's the Horde, there's Hordak, there's Grizzle, there's Leech, there's Montana, and it's so exciting to see. And then here's Catra and Scorpio, who I thought had her tail was made out of sausage links. I had no idea. Because that what little I saw of her, I didn't catch her name. So I'd see her on a VHS tape like, is She-Ra holding that girl with like sausage links for a tail?
And then just
the mind of a 3-year-old 1987 dude.
Well, not only that too, but you got to think you're only seeing these episodes around that time frame where they're in syndication. It's not until later that you discover more episodes of the show. It's like the bootlegs that you got. That's when you're watching more, and it's like, holy, I didn't even know this character was in the show, and the internet and all that stuff. So yeah, it's cool to see your perspective of when you saw this as a kid and what like 3-year-old Tyler is thinking watching this whole thing.
Yeah, it was quite fascinating, and I you couldn't pull me away from the show. Even I looked at it as like it was a show meant for girls.
Yeah,
that's just how I think. I even would go rent the tapes and kind of feel like this is a show for girls, but it's She-Ra and it's connected to He-Man. I almost felt kind of ashamed handing it to my mom, even though she had no problem with it. I guess in my mind, taking it up to the person at the counter, you know.
Well, I was the same way when I would watch Jim as a kid. I was like, I know that this is girly, but I really like it. The music is awesome. I just liked everything about that show as a kid. And I've said this plenty of times before. I would take my mom's dish towel that she had, because it was like a pink one, and I would tie it. I would like take it and somehow like tie the towel to where it like be in the front, and I would be like singing the songs and everything. So it's but at the same time I was like, I know this is for girls, but as you grow older, you're like, no, these cartoons at the time they were coming out, like, the target audience was girls, but overall it's anybody. It was for anybody.
And that's why I wish that Mattel, and even though Filmation, like, you know, they made the show as like, we're making this a sister show because He-Man's so well beloved and accepted. Girls are watching that. Let's do something aimed a little bit more towards girls, but that boys can watch too. But knowing that it was a girls' aim show, you know, once I got home, I was like, I'm good, you know. But it's like I said, there was that one time at Toys R Us in 1987, I think, or maybe early '88, when I saw this massive setup of She-Ra toys. And I was just overwhelmed by looking at them, like, I can't buy any of these because these are for girls. And just
it was like the pink packaging.
Oh, the pink packaging was everything. I'm seeing, like, you know,
and you're having to go. Well, you said there was a display, but other than that, you would have to go down the same aisle that the Barbies were in. It's like, I can't do that.
Well, and it was see this one particular time. I feel like this was the one time I remember seeing He-Man toys prominently just on display at Toys R Us. Was at the front of the toy, the same one you and I went to when we were kids. Is that the display of She-Ra toys was at the front of the store, and you had to kind of snake around to get to the main large aisles where all the action figures and everything else is. So at the front, you snaked around and then came right to this display of all these She-Ra toys. And I just stood there like looking at it, like, oh man, and just like, I can't do it. These are for girls, and had to wander to the back, and that's when I saw that big end cap of He-Man figures. It looked like it was like 100 feet high to me.
It was the same way when we go into Hills, and you would see those end cap displays, or you would just walk down the main toy aisle, and it's just it seemed like 200 feet, but it was probably like 20-30 feet of just Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
just like
I'm like, I'd give anything to
feel that excited about anything again.
Yeah, or
me
to
too.
Like go back as like an onlooker and just watch myself at 3 or 4 years old going to Hills and looking at what I could have had I paid attention more of like the He-Man stuff that was there. I clearly just didn't see, or in my mind thinking like, but honestly, I feel like a lot of stuff that I didn't have, I just, other than Beastman that one time, and that was doing that Toys R Us expedition, excuse me. You know, I remember the He-Man toys at Hills were like on a spinner rack, if I remember correctly, on the edge of one of the aisles, I thought. And that's what I remember, you know, getting Cyclone, Rio Blast, the Snake Men.
I really don't remember. That's the thing too. I wish, it would be nice to just go back and just admire. I wouldn't even be like, hey kid, you should pick that up or nothing. I honestly, I would just like to go into Hills again. And
Me too.
Yeah, just smell the popcorn, look at the ices, like the different variety of cups that they would have for whatever. It's like, oh, it's football season. Here's all the football cups or whatever.
Just see that entire overwhelming snack bar with an arcade machine, maybe like a little hobby horse you could ride.
Yep.
The automatic doors that would open up, and smell the smell of the Hills department store. And where's the toy section at? Where's it at? You know, just anticipating.
Back left corner.
It was in the back left corner. I remember for a while, and I thought it was like more towards the center back because I do remember seeing like
they changed
around a few times.
They did because do you remember that the video games used to be kind of in the center of the store?
I remember them being in the far corner, like when you walked in the left corner of the store.
They moved it to the left corner, but there was a time period where it was like sort of in the center. I think that was around the time Super Mario All-Stars came out, I believe, is they had it there in the center, and then by a little more to the late 90s, they moved it to the left corner. Because I remember like the Virtual Boy.
I remember that too. I remember Virtual being set up and trying to play that. But I guess because all I cared about in the early 80s was action figures, and that's all I was interested in. That and the snack bar. So the movie section had no other than going to the only new movies is you could rent them. So then that was really
same. Yeah, absolutely. So movies weren't a thing for me. It was more video games, and it was action figures when I was younger, and then video games as I got a little bit older. But my parents would always get popcorn at the. It's like you got.
We weren't leaving without that bag of popcorn. My mom made sure of that, and me and my brother each would get an icy too. Like that was a guarantee.
Yeah. I would only get the ices when it was like the football, baseball promotions. So I got a shitload of those cups somewhere. Like, still kept all of them.
We jump back in here and as She-Ra realizes something's up and yells at Broom to stop, and he was exactly who he was looking for. It's like, She-Ra, thank goodness. And just just spazzing out, and she's like, calm yourself, Broom. And I love the animation of him taking a deep breath and calm. And she tells him that, all right, now tell me what happened. And he quickly says, Madam and I were coming back here and we ran into this curious little fellow whose name was Orko. And She-Ra knows who Orko is. She just has never met him before. So she realizes, okay, I need to contact the sorceress about this and let her know something's up. And this was a big deal to me to see She-Ra conversing with the source. Like, oh my God, this is amazing, and that she's going to send He-Man too. Like,
yeah.
Even though when I rented the tape, He-Man's on the back of the box, like fighting Grizzlor and Leech with She-Ra. But just to see it take place, like I got so pumped knowing He-Man's going to show up in this.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been a huge bummer if you saw that on the back box, rented it, and then it just didn't happen.
Which had happened, so it wouldn't have been a shocker. But this was a great introduction for Hordak, because the music that plays, he is not played for laughs. He's here. And
I love just this animation of just him in the throne and how it lifts up and then spins around and then he's revealed.
We got another opening for our show.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that when I watched this a couple days ago. I was like, "Yep, that's another one." We'll lock down for an intro.
It's very imposing, and I love that in this moment, he just realizes he's got two prisoners and commends Mantenna already, like not beating him down or criticizing him. Just, you've done well, Mantenna. And I love the animation of Hordak, like kind of closes one eye and opens the other eye, and like, what is this other creature you bring me? And it's just so cool seeing Orko in this world interacting with these other He-Man characters. And Orko's got the balls big enough to come in a dump truck here.
Yeah, he doesn't back down. So
no, I love that.
I love it too.
I thought that was so cool. And Hordak's like, oh, okay. After he insults him by calling him Bone Brain and throws some fire right past his hat, and enough to kind of, all right, you don't scare me much. And here we go, man. He-Man and She-Ra interacting for the first time in my life.
So is this kind of when you get the vibes of like, I want them to get together, just kind of from this?
I think
because I could see some of the dialogue kind of going past you in the moment as a kid.
Yeah, it's just not registering as much. All I'm saying, it's the images. Like, I'm following the story, but the dialogue is not sticking with me at such a young age. And I see He-Man as the epitome of being a man, and She-Ra's like, oh my God, just unbelievably hot. And the dialogue, I love John Irwin's delivery of this dialogue where he says, "So Hordak has Orko, does he?" Like, it's immediately we're to business. We've hugged. It's good to see you. And all right, now I'm ready to go kick the shit out of Hordak. And Shearer says he's got Madame Raz too. Like, let's go have a talk with the man. Like, it's just good dialogue. We're getting down to business here.
But speaking of getting down to business, we have Shadow Weaver and Hordak, where they are kind of gonna disagree on what to do with Orko here.
Yeah, they're at a loss because Shadow Weaver, even as powerful as she is, she can't figure out what the hell he is, where he comes from, and Orko sure as hell ain't gonna tell her anyway. And Orko is in this moment, even after Hordak's kind of scared him a bit. He's holding his own hand. Like, this was on the back of the VHS box. Was this image here of the buzzsaw at Orko and Madame?
And you're like, what is this?
And I was like, oh my god! Like, this was on the back of the box. And I just love that Madame Raz is, because she's aware of what Hordak's capable of. Orko is not. And man, why isn't Orko written more like this? Like, he has his lovable moments, but man, he's written consistently well right now. Like, he's aware he's in trouble, but he's just looking like, you know what, I want to be like He-Man in this moment here as best I can. And it's such a great image. That buzzsaw's threatening him right there, and he's like,
yeah,
he ain't bound down to it. I love that. It's
pretty, yeah. When I saw that, I was like, it's surprising to see a buzzsaw here in a kid's cartoon used in this fashion.
In a threatening manner.
Yeah.
Which should have been Buzzsaw Hordak.
True. Instead of having him come out of his chest.
Yeah.
But Hordak here, I like that Hordak's saying, oh, well, your magic didn't do anything. Let's use the science involved.
Yeah, let's use the Minesweeper to me. And this, even though it's done for a humorous moment, it doesn't take me. I love this as a kid because I just loved Hordak's interactions with the Minesweeper not being able to register or compute what Orko is,
Yeah, so we get level 1. So that's what's inside Orko's brain right there. It's just like some gears and like some pulleys and like a balloon.
That just inflates and deflates, and deflates, and it almost makes you wonder if Orko is doing this deliberately, mentally, to fuck with the science.
Let's talk about that, because I'm gonna say no, because I look at Orko, for as powerful as he can be and as well written as he can be, I see him. He tracks more like 2012 Ninja Turtles Michelangelo in a way.
Yeah,
where he's competent and he can do stuff, and when it comes down to it, he can make it happen. But also, it's the carefree mind. So I think that it's not him messing with Hordak. I think that's just his mentality. Like, there's stuff there, but it's just a void. It's carefree. It's just white noise.
I mean, that's pretty much how I looked at it growing up, and up until now. Like, I'm just thinking, like, what are the possibilities? But that's pretty much exactly how
I don't think there's a way that he's intentionally doing this.
I mean, I think if I were to write him, that's what I would have been doing, because I'd like to think that. I mean, they say his magic works stronger on Trala, but then it's inconsistent on Eternia. But it's also written where it works sometimes it doesn't. But then on Etheria, a lot of magic is based in this world. It kind of makes sense for Orko to have a little bit of more of a kickstart in terms of, like, hey, my powers aren't fucking up on this world because it's right. For whatever reason. But it's he doesn't really get too much of an opportunity to really do any kind of magic at all.
Yeah.
It just right here. It still looks like this could possibly be Orko just messing around with Hordak.
This is level 2 right here.
Yeah. Level 2, and seeing these that I love.
Yeah,
it's not. I don't like seeing the piss taken out of Skeletor and Hordak, but this as a child and now, because it's so beautifully animated and how pissed off Hordak's going to get here in a moment. I just think it's great. I love it. It's so well done.
It's part of the evolution of filmation.
Yeah,
seeing this type of animation was sort of, you would get those same vibes later on when Brave Star would come out.
Oh God, yeah. It's just it just I watched the Brave Star movie like a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, my God, just a good reminder just how amazing Filmation's talent was just getting year after year.
Yeah, it's fun in doing the show over the years and going through the different iterations of Filmation, it's really fun to see how it evolved and got better as time went on.
Yeah. Even though
Brave Star is something we got to cover more of down the road.
We really do, man. And rest assured, people will be going back to that amongst other great classes we've touched on in the past. But we'll dig into them even better going forward.
So max level.
Yeah, phase 10, and I love that Shadow Weaver, pretty much calls that Hordak like your science is no better than my magic, and he just yells silence and just and it just overloads or the mind streak gets overloads on Orko's head. This fun animation,
and then he's just like, oh, that was fun.
Can we do it again? And I thought that was so cool as a child. Orko is just like, yeah, it didn't bother me at all, man. Like I'm game for round 2, and this of Hordak just in complete
disbelief.
And then just like
flabbergasted, as someone said,
just annihilates the machine.
Yeah,
it's just that. Yeah,
we don't see it here, but it turns into like a cannon, like a cannonball cannon that you would think of, like Civil War era cannon.
Yeah, and it looks cool, and I like that until it officially finishes merging on his arm, he's still in disbelief, like I can't believe it, and just looks at it and just blows it away, like. And then it cuts to a serious tone with the music. Like, okay, all right, Shadow Weaver's got an idea. We don't know what he is. Let's send him to Horde World and let them, figure out what he is. If they have nothing of it, then, hey, we gave it a shot and no harm, no foul. But
if it works out, that makes us look really good.
Yeah, and Hordak, in this moment, doesn't take the idea. He's like, oh, it's a great idea. Like this animation of him rubbing his chin, thinking about how this could benefit him. Mm-hmm. It's great. Like he's already thinking about, oh, this is gonna be a big payoff for me. Like, it's brilliant, and doesn't say what a wonderful idea I had. No, he's like, see to it, Shadow Weaver. Like I just like in that moment, he's not taking the credit. Hey, I'm sure he would at some point.
Yeah.
But right now, he is respecting Shadow Weaver and says, great idea.
He would take credit for it if it actually turns out. If it doesn't, then he knows where to point the finger.
Yeah. And I really took, especially because this episode, that Shadow Weaver and Hordak were like a tight unit. Like he saw her as like he respected her probably more than Skeletor respects Evil-Lyn. Like in a lot of episodes too. I look at that. He doesn't look to cut her down or dismiss her. Like he holds her as like an equal in terms of like level of respect.
Do you think that those were lessons learned after doing Masters of the Universe, that they're like, hey, we don't want to entirely retread this whole thing. Let's alter some of these dynamics a little bit to where it's not how we had it before. So it gives us other pathways to write these characters. Do you think they were thinking that much into that, or
probably not? Because then I feel like, Hordak, even though he's written differently, like where he's like, if you were victorious, you're rewarded. If you not, you get punishment. Whereas, Skeletor just gets pissed off and launches, blast from his finger or just cuts everyone down to pieces.
Yeah, he didn't have a trap door that
he had one episode and used it in Evil-Lyn's plot, but I think it's a little bit more different, but I just kind of get the vibe that, well, then you have the episode Shadows and Skulls, which is a great idea. It's executed so poorly where Shadow Weaver gets tired of Hordak shit and decides she wants to team up with Skeletor.
You guys are on the
there
same
you go.
Yeah.
We're thinking like in the same wavelength there, Zentron. It's a good idea, but it's a bad episode. Just terrible dialogue. It's just like hamming it up. It's like, oh my god, like it's just bad. But we're getting off track here. But and then after Hordak is relishing in the idea of sending Orko and to Horde World, Orko is like, oh my god, I'm in deep shit. And then we cut to our heroes are on the way to the Fright Zone, and
this is great. So now we get Catra here.
And as Force Captain and ready to launch the Bat Mechs because they realize they've got company and send them out there. And He-Man and She-Ra know their routine here, which is the kid I don't know when she says maneuver 19. I'm like, what does that mean? But you realize, okay, they know what to do. They've worked together so many times. Like all she got to do is call out a particular maneuver. He-Man's like, all right, or no, Swiftman, excuse me. And He-Man knows what to do.
We don't get some of the images here, but I love the contrast of colors with having Swiftwind's pinks and blues and yellows against this dark backdrop.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. It pops so much, and
it does.
He-Man She-Ra looks so good amongst all of this because of how bleak and dangerous it is. Like it just looks awesome. That one shot there of He-Man kind of looking a little, kind of, which I guess, hey, you get ready to jump off a horse and swing right in there.
Yeah.
I guess who wouldn't. Whereas I feel like She-Ra's done this a lot because their sword returns to rope all the time. He-Man does not have that luxury. So it could be like a little bit of a, hey, I don't do this all the time. As She-Ra once said in their episode Press for Freedom, this is Etheria, not Eternia. But this got me pumped because I did get to see, up until this point, I didn't see much of Grizzlor and Leech in action. So to see them used as the muscle to take on She-Ra and He-Man was a big fucking deal to me, man. So to say that, He-Man and She-Ra are here to rescue their friends, here that they're stopped and brought to me, and this catcher yells at him to get, to go take care of business. And we're getting ready to approach my favorite moment as a child in every episode was them hiding behind this corridor and to physically engage with He-Man and She-Ra. And that's on the back of the box there. And it lasts like maybe 10 seconds.
It's not a long fight at all.
No, but it spoke to me of much like the fight with Triclops and He-Man and Diamond Ray Disappearance. Seeing Grizzlor this formidable against He-Man and Leech doing the same thing with She-Ra, it made them look, in my mind, these guys, they provide a genuine threat to our heroes here. So I saw them as competent and fearful, and the way that they're talking to him, like Leech, I got you now, She-Ra, and then Grizzlor, surrender, muscle man. I just, this is so badass, man. And in that moment, they just lean over and I think these guys need some close physical contact. And She-Ra's I know what you mean. So another routine, and they heave them right at each other in this alpha moment with their arms crossed looking out. I mean, that's just, you don't get any more alpha than that there, people. I just thought it was so cool. I would rewind that sequence a lot. I just thought it was so cool,
Yeah, no, it's understandable. It's a bummer that it doesn't last that long.
Most of the physical fights didn't, because Filmation was they were under close watch. We can't do anything like that. They weren't going to do it, and plus people are already ready to decree that it's all about promoting witchcraft and dove worship and all that bullshit.
Right. Catra here, I love the backdrop of.
It's a great setup. A great setup there. It just gives you more, imagination as to how vast the Fright Zone is. Where does that go to? Is that downstairs from where she was just meeting with Hordak?
But she is also not aware of her surroundings, because as you look above her in this frame right here, as she transforms,
and she was like, "I'll allow me," and it's knowing what I know now, clearly that's personal, with her and Catra. So
this chandelier falls on top and traps her. So I was like, she could probably have gotten out of that. That opening seems pretty wide enough.
Well, she is it turns into a kind of like a purple panther almost. So she could have just clawed the hell out of it, but that's just nitpicking. We're not gonna do that. Well, it's just like, hey, we got to get He-Man and She-Ra to Orko and Madame Razz now. So let's keep it moving there, which is pretty much why that's shutting her down immediately. And they free Madame Razz, and they wonder where Orko is at, and he's at the spaceport because Shadow was going to send him to Horde World, and they tell her don't tag along, just get out of here. And I remember being a little bothered by that as a kid. Why don't you let Madame Razz tag along, She-Ra? I like her, but as you realize, no, we got to let the alphas handle this, Madame Razz. Get the hell out of here. Just teleport us there.
Yeah.
And I never get tired of Madame Razz's shtick, where she just, she's old, she gets confused, and she has her Brooklyn accent. It's great. I love it.
Brooklyn style.
Yeah, Brooklyn.
Well,
And She-Ra gives her praise. Oh, good old man. She got us here in one try. And then greeted by Hordak, Horde Trooper, Shadow Weaver, and Mantisaur.
Yeah, Mantisaur. It's the vibe I get from this is obviously you look at it doesn't look like the toy.
No,
so they were probably only given like a prototype, maybe even just a description of what this thing.
Yeah, because there were so many designs that Filmation was that they would be given in advance, which is why Clawful, Tongue Lasher, Mantisaur, Colonel Blast, all these characters that would, or even or Lizardman became what started out as Whiplash and became Lizardman, but why they look so drastically different than the toys that would show up in toy stores. So it wouldn't be for like a few more years before I would know that Mantisaur even existed, and I'd go back and watch this. Like, I wonder if that's what I think it is. And then it was confirmed many years later that, oh yeah, that was the early incarnation of what they were thinking the toy was going to be, and that's what they produced in the episode. And this was a cool sequence here when they pretty much realized like Orko's getting to take off.
Yeah, the rocket's about to ascend.
And
give me a boost.
Give me a boost. Like, I just love the chemistry of their in battle tag teaming. Like just I'll need a lift off. You got it. She knows what to do. Hurls him on the rocket, and it just takes off. And the minute he touches it. And I guess in Hordak's mind is like, well, once it reaches the outer atmosphere, He-Man's done. Now it's your turn.
Yeah.
So it's like Hordak's having a good day here already, and She-Ra's like, not so fast here, and takes out the Horde Troopers. That fails pretty quickly, and then Shadow Weaver enacts a spell here that turns right back on her here.
It turns her into like this little
green pig.
Yeah, green pig. So Shadow Weaver just walks away.
Yeah, she's just pissed, like she's embarrassed, and this was always, I really got a kick, no pun intended, out of the sequence here, because I just thought it was so cool to see She-Ra and Hordak going at it face to face here.
I actually really like the design of Mantisaur.
I like the design of Mantisaur.
I like because it looks like it's supposed to. It doesn't have the Horde garb. We're not going like red, blacks, and purples, which the toy looks awesome. But seeing this, I'm like, I got
no problem with it. Like,
I
wish he had shown up and was the regular steed for Hordak in the battle. Like, if he wasn't riding one of his, tanks or any other vehicles. And the animation of her in Mantisaur's claw and then just bursts out of it like Superman.
Yeah.
And she comes forward with this awesome animation of this spinning kick and kicks the shit out of Hordak and Mantisaur, and they go flying out of the fright zone into the mud down below. It was just, oh my God, it's like, it just made her look so alpha as a kid. I was like, oh, she's so fucking cool. And in the mud, is like, I hate that woman.
Yeah.
And then we cut to the climactic sequence of He-Man on the rocket ship, and I love like the fact that He-Man's established like this thing's getting close to the outer atmosphere, and I'm gonna die if I don't.
Yeah, and then we cut to Orko here, who's like, I'm never gonna see my friends again, and then you see a tear come down his face. I'm like, oh man.
And that was like, I didn't cry, but I'm like, as a kid, I'm getting emotionally invested watching that sequence there. Like when the Horde Troopers like, there's something wrong with the ship, we're going to crash, let's get the hell out of here, and they tell Orko, have a happy landing.
Yeah, that was my favorite part of this episode.
That was like, oh, I mean, even the Horde Troopers like, right here, buddy.
Yeah, what about me? Well, happy landing.
And that's when Orko was like, oh my God, like I'm done. I'll never, and no one knows I'm here.
Yeah.
And that's when He-Man, the ultimate alpha, comes in. Hang on,
and then we get this animated shot that we've seen time and time and time again,
and it works wonderfully in this moment. Orko's just thrilled. It's like, I don't know how you got here, but I'm sure glad you did. And then the ship's heading back to the spaceport, and she was outside, just worried about what's going to happen. Like, I love that. What, as powerful as she is, there's only so much she can do right now because she doesn't.
Can't do it all.
No.
And it's that conundrum of just that they use a lot in Superman. It's like he can't be everywhere all the time. No. Yeah, can't save everybody.
No, and I love that in this moment she's genuinely concerned, and it helps build up a lot of fun drama for this as they're heading back, and tells Orko to jump, and I'll make it. Don't worry, just go. Yeah. And this was always a fun, tense moment to watch as a kid.
All right,
believe me.
This is my biggest problem with this issue. with this episode, not issue. Sorry, this is not the spinner rack. But yeah, I'm just like, why would the Horde have hay? Why would they have hay, Tyler?
My only thinking, of course, as a kid, I went with it, didn't question anything. They are all about taking anything that's profitable from all the people of Etheria, from farmers.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
I imagine, because these people, if they can't pay their taxes, they're going to take what they're making, what they used to make money on.
Touché.
So I'd imagine they're taking all the hay from farmers who can't, pay. So we're going to take the hay to feed your livestock.
Yeah.
And anything else that you're probably using. So, and God knows there's probably a shit ton of farmers and peasants who can't pay. And that's probably just one day's worth of cleaning up what people can't pay.
That's a good point. I'm glad that I brought that up so you could bring that up. Yeah, that's an excellent point that you made there. That all this stuff, they probably, it's hard to tell what else they have just laying around that they've just taken from people.
Don't worry, because when I got a little bit older, I started wondering, why the hell is there a hay sitting in the fright zone? Like,
yeah.
But I'm like, nah. There's a little bit more logic to that. If you think about how the series is written, like, no, there's logic to that.
Yeah.
Even though it's done for something for He-Man to fall in.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a mattress sitting out there. Like, oh, hey, there's a mattress over here.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, and Orko flies down and and I got pumped for this coming up here because Orko is glad to see He-Man's alive, and She-Ra says, should introduce us, He-Man, and I got so pumped for this because She-Ra's going to give Orko a kiss when he's like hitting on her. I'm like, I envied him so much as a child. Like,
she's like, Orko's like, you're beautiful,
and I'm like, I'm right there with him, and like to have gotten a kiss from her, like, oh boy, his reaction was like how I felt like watching this as a kid, even though I'm still wanting like the two of them to get together, is still like, hey, Orko's the one seeing some action here, so this is great.
Yeah. But that is how the episode ends. Loki, of course, says, hey, if you have a friend in need, give a helping hand, and that's pretty much the gist.
Pretty much it. Yeah.
And we found him early on in the episode, and I guess, I really need to set those scene things up. Let's do it again for. Yeah, there we go.
I mean, we gotta have that for He-Man and She-Ra episodes now.
I'll get more of those.
Yeah,
I know that
because there's so many transition shots in the series. So yeah.
So we'll get some more of those. But Tyler, out of 10, a talent for trouble, what do you give it?
10 out of 10 for me. Like, I'm probably in the minority because I don't hear anyone ever talk about this episode in terms of the She-Ra episodes that are celebrated. But for me personally, it's a 10 out of 10. It's my favorite She-Ra episode next to Huntara. I still enjoy it to this day. I even had the VHS that I used to rent as a kid from Beyond Video just transferred to DVD a couple weeks ago. So I just watched this in classic VHS quality last week.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was so much fun to watch it. Like, the panning speeds are correct, and just it was wonderful to watch this and Laughing Dragon. And I had Huntara converted over to DVD also off of old VHS as well.
Nice.
So I had a nice.
That's definitely something that you need to do, is just get all that stuff converted over, because VHS tapes aren't gonna, they're gonna get moldy, degrade well.
They are, and
I mean, DVDs will as well, but at least getting them fresh, preserving.
Yeah,
what you can.
There's a bunch over here. I still need. I mean, I got a decent. Well, not as many as I think, but I've got like 2 tapes per disc. So I got a decent little star, but it takes time because they don't. The people that take care of this, they're not super fast about it.
Yeah.
And it's got more expensive to do it. Like, I had a He-Man tape, a She-Ra tape, and a Thundercats tape all done. It cost over $100 to get that done.
Man.
So, yes. And they provide box art for me as well. So,
well, that's good to at least.
That's something that you don't have to get, but I'm like, man, if I'm going to do this, like, I want to have my VHS covers like on there too. So they do that, and they call it. So with that and everything, it's a little over $100, but it's well worth it when you finally get them in hand.
Well, I mean, at this point too, they're probably not getting as many customers wanting that process done. So
yeah, they do other stuff as well, and it's a mom and pop place. Literally, it's a husband and wife who've been there for decades.
Yeah,
So. I'd like to get more. It's just, I only have time to do it in the summertime because they're only open certain days a week and it's during the day. And my summer schedule is a little more relaxed where I have time in the afternoons getting done from work to go over there. So,
well, let's move on to questions and comments and concerns from previous episodes. So let's start off with actually let's start off with one because I thought this was hilarious. This was on our Quick and the Dead.
Oh wow, we have someone commenting on that.
Well, here's why. So this comes from No Soup for You Too. This has nothing to do with the movie that you have entitled your video to be. A bunch of hogwash is all that you are posting. So I responded. What? Yeah, I responded with, would think by the thumbnail, you'd be able to tell it wasn't going to be the full movie to watch on YouTube because the thumbnail is the Quick of the Dead poster, but it's got like those cartoon versions of us at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then has like, and now for something different on it. So I'm like, obviously, like I titled it Quick of the Dead. Maybe that's just me, but the video was getting a decent amount of views on it, but I think that's why. Anyway, so I responded with that, to which, we got some more here. Well, sir, since I'm
so well spoken.
Well, here's why. Well, sir, since I'm 65 years old and a thumbnail to me is just that, a thumb's nail. So when I see the title tells me it's the movie I'm looking to watch, I naturally assume I'll be sitting here watching the movie that is in the title. So I don't normally go hunting for thumbnails or external tabs and widgets that need not be there. If the title says The Quick and the Dead from 1995, that's what I should be getting! Exclamation points. Not some damn safari that requires me to go hunting for hidden extras. Say what you mean and mean what you say and stop muddying the waters. You ever heard of those sayings before, Mr. Master Powercast Bates? I think he's trying to say.
What the hell? God,
yeah, I have yet to respond to that, but I thought it was funny. But then there's also someone else that's like, couldn't agree more. No soup for you too. So there we go.
What was the last thing?
That they said they couldn't agree more.
Oh, okay. I couldn't understand what you were saying there.
So yeah, I should have retitled it to Quick and the Dead 1995 movie review. Maybe that would have.
Unless he was pissed off because he's thinking it was the one with Sam Elliott.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Let's go back to a couple that we got from the Golden Book that we did. Michael, and we responded to all these, but I'll just read them off here. Comes from Michael R. Lomax, 1977. Enjoyable as ever. Looking forward to the next one. And then we had Mr. Indie Film Man. The new format shows are absolutely brilliant. The knowledge and passion you share is so enjoyable to watch. Many thanks. So thank you for the kind words. In regards to the movie stuff, Terrell White. At least they got the style of the Sword of Power right this time, and I'm willing to give the movie a shot. So I responded in kind of that. It's like, yeah, the sword looks okay, but everything else about it's probably gonna be wrong and awful. But it is what it is. Like, I'm gonna watch it, and Tyler can groan again. I'm gonna watch it, and then as soon as I'm done watching it, I'll be like, all right, well, on with my day.
And which I have a gut feeling that's gonna be everyone's reaction to it. They're either gonna be like, oh my god, what a waste of fucking time, or like, huh. All right, what else is on Amazon? And that'll be that. It'll come and go. Probably like the Jam movie in theaters. No one will care. It'll just, be a bunch of people on YouTube, hey, did you see the new He-Man movie? And this is awesome, man. And it's like, all right, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, new stuff. I mean, I get being excited. There was a point in time where we would get excited for, they're coming out with a movie of this. There was a time
and then you start to realize, oh my God, what are they doing? And
yeah.
I mean, once the plot was announced, like, dude, this movie's dead on arrival. Why anyone, as much as they have shit all over the '87 movie, are going to get excited about another He-Man movie that takes place on Earth? That's done for comedy, not to be taken seriously.
I don't know.
So
when that time comes, I guess if there are those that would crap on the 87 movie constantly, and if we're sort of getting more of the same in that vein with this newer one, but then they end up liking that, then that's when you can start, I guess, pointing fingers at people and be
I don't have time for anyone whose sole purpose is to go on YouTube and like, today I'm gonna make a video that just shits on the 87. Here's what they got wrong. Like, boy, there's a dime a dozen. Man, you could fart and hit one of those. And there's just so many of them. You know, everyone just thinks they got something brand new and genius to come to the table with. This is why the movie failed, guys. It's like, well, please enlighten me.
Movie-wise, too, I've talked about Sinners before, that it's an awesome movie. If you guys out there have Max, it will be on the service on July 4th. So if you missed it in theaters and want to give it a shot, watch that on Max. I watched a movie called I Like Movies from Canada. It's been out since like 2023 or 2022, and that showed up on Prime Video to stream, and I watched that, and what an accurate portrayal of just like a shithead kid that treats everyone like garbage, and then like things happen to him, and deservingly so, and then like he kind of learns the lesson at the end. I thought it was very grounded in just how people are, and not really used as much as like a grandiose Hollywood fashion. I liked it a lot. I know that it wouldn't be something for everybody, but thoroughly intrigued by it, because it's this shithead kid. He's in high school. DVDs are out at the time, and let's see, Punch Drunk Love was about to come out on DVD, and he just saw it in theaters. So this would have been like early 2000s that this movie's taken place in, correct? I think so. I think that's when that Punch Drunk Love came out, right? Paul Thomas Anderson with Adam Sandler. That would have been, it would have been like 2003, 2004.
Yeah, it probably that's only after you and I graduated from high school.
Yeah, he wants to be a filmmaker, because he makes like little short movies and stuff, and obviously they're kind of shit, but he's got like this friend that he treats like garbage, and they have these nights where they watch Saturday Night Live together and all this stuff. But he wants to be a filmmaker, and he wants to go to NYU, but his mom is like, that's too expensive. You should go here. It's like a film school in Ottawa. And he's like, I don't want to be a Canadian filmmaker and all this stuff. So he decides to get a job at the video store that he goes to all the time. And it's just kind of like his relationship with the manager and just all that stuff that's going on. But he treats everyone like I don't like this kid at all. But there's just something about that movie that really wrote me in, and I enjoyed it a lot. But like I said, I know it's not for everybody. JSP saying the Play On Pictures has released 2 newer volumes of He-Man on Blu-ray. So I have to.
Does that mean we have access to it, or is it just people who live on the other side of the planet?
Well, I mean, it would be region free, I would think.
Okay.
Maybe. I think it's region free. JSP elaborated on that and said that they haven't released She-Ra yet. So I need to look more into those sets, because obviously you would probably want to have them on Blu-ray.
Oh, of course.
Let's see what we have here. Yeah. Fleep, Sinners is probably the best original film I've seen in a long time. I would agree with that. But it's not, I think at this point, major theatrical releases, it's pretty easy to stick out compared to all the sequels that are existing, or just comic book movies. Speaking of which, did you watch the newest Fantastic Four trailer?
There's another trailer?
Yeah, there's one that came out like earlier this week.
No, I wasn't aware there was another new trailer.
All right. Well, we'll watch that after the show.
Okay.
I'm still kind of like hopeful about it, but there's probably going to be some stuff. I'm just like, no. But at the same time, I kind of want to just go get drunk and go watch that new Jurassic World movie.
God.
Because well, at least with that one, it's separated itself from those
Jurassic World movies.
Yeah, like it separates itself from the other ones where those became interconnected with the original cast, and
where Chris Pratt walks over and just like holds his fist up to a fucking raptor, and it just stops in his tracks.
These are backtracking and going back to it's different somehow, but obviously I don't. It's probably not gonna be.
God, this movie's dumb as shit.
Johnny Cock. Nathan, have you by chance given old Ultraman or Kamen Rider to Takusatsu shows a shot after your Godzilla kick? No, but I need to. And then, I need to dive more into some of this stuff. I still need to watch Shin Godzilla, but the Blu-rays here in the States are expensive because it's out of print, but I think they're getting ready to re-release that movie in theater. So if it plays around here, I'll try to go catch that, because that's the last Godzilla movie I gotta watch. And then I've watched them all. But yeah, Ultraman. I actually have Ultraman on DVD that I got it. I think that was one of those deals where you could get like the complete series. Tyler, you probably remember this. You would see them in the dump bins, either at Walmart or Kmart.
Vaguely, yeah.
So Ultraman's something I'd like to get back into. And
honestly, I remember seeing the toys advertised in the early 90s, I think, that Bandai put out.
Yeah.
And I remember really wanting an Ultraman, like knowing nothing of it, but I just I think my youngest cousins like had the Ultraman figure. It was like, I think you've seen them before. I didn't know if you were going to start buying those, but I think Bandai put them out, and they were like the large scale, like when they grow really big.
Yeah.
And like the Ultraman came with like a little like miniature version of like the human version. I guess I think it was like the more Americanized version of Ultraman. Like he was the guy. Like I guess that's what it was. That's all I really. And I played the Super Nintendo game one time too.
Yeah, Ultraman's something I would like to kind of dig into. And honestly, just for the cheese, I kind of wouldn't mind going back and giving it another shot watching original Power Rangers again.
Oh, I know you're going to say that.
Yeah, it's just something about it. But yeah, Shin Godzilla I need to watch, and then dive into Ultraman, and then Gamera. I need to watch those, because I think maybe Johnny was the one championing the 90s movies a lot. So, and those at one point were streaming on, I think, Prime Video. But Johnny also saying there's a lot of them on Tubi, so Tubi's a good source for all that stuff. JSP following up, Eternia collection is region free. It's just a matter of getting it here to the States. So I think like the shipping cost is probably what's gonna fuck you over pretty hard, especially now. Zentron, anyone looking forward to Spaceballs 2?
I guess the last time I've heard anything a Spaceballs sequel was when Mel Brooks wanted to do a prequel to the Phantom, like a spoof on the Phantom Menace, and the little kid from Jerry Maguire was going to play Little Dark Helmet. Other than that, I'm not aware of a Spaceballs 2 happening at all. So.
Oh no, it's happening. Mel Brooks, 98, enlists the perfect team to reimagine another comedy classic after Spaceballs 2 broke the internet.
Wow. I was just thinking about him this morning, like wondering, like, how old is he at this point? Like,
yeah, 90.
Because 98 and still wanting to make movies, but
Rick Moranis is coming back for it.
What's that?
Rick Moranis is coming back.
Rick Moranis is. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, as like Bill Pullman and
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think Bill Pullman's kid's probably going to be a part of it too. Because have you seen his kid?
No.
He played the Sentry in the Thunderbolts movie. He looks just like his dad.
I didn't know Sentry was in the Thunderbolts movie. Not that I was going to give a shit because I wasn't going to see it anyway. But
sorry, I mean New Avengers.
Oh,
yeah.
Whatever.
Let's see. Yeah, Mel Brooks has confirmed to return to the role of Yogurt.
God.
Oh no, the cast of Spaceballs 2 is being led by Josh Gad. I don't like that guy.
Who the hell's that?
Keke Palmer. Josh Gad, what all has he been in? I think he played like Olaf, he like voiced the snowman in Frozen. Let's see what else has he been in. Seems like he's done a lot of voice work. Yeah, it's mostly been voice work, but I'm sure he's been live action and some shit. I don't know. Whatever. Let's see. Rick Moranis is coming back. Bill Pullman, and Daphne Zuniga.
Yeah. Princess Vespa.
Yeah. There's a teaser it come out that they put, but I don't think there's like obviously they haven't filmed
enough footage. Probably just talking or
in theaters in 2027. So we'll see how that goes.
I'm not holding my breath. Legacy comedies don't tend to do very good for me.
Yeah,
or legacy movies in general.
Yeah, I just think of like Dumb and Dumber 2. That was such a big piece of shit. God, can't believe I watched it, but that was a Josh.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah, but yeah, legacy sequels to comedies most of the time are not that great.
It's just it's going to rely on. I'd like to think Mel Brooks is a little bit more wittier than what people are doing with typical legacy movies, but
it's possible. So it may turn out to be great.
Yeah, it's a shame the Spaceballs sequel didn't happen much sooner. You know, like I feel like they could have done so much more with that, and why wait? That's another thing too. Like then again, too, jumping on sequels, immediately, typically doesn't work out too well either. But I don't know. I just kind of feel like we're talking almost 40 years since Spaceballs, and I feel like it's going to be, hey, you remember this gag from the first film? Do you remember this gag too? And it's like,
it's either going to be that.
Bother doing this?
It's either going to be that, or it's going to be just a big clusterfuck of the prequels and the
current shitty sequels and all that stuff.
Yeah,
like
so it might just.
If Mel sat through and watched all those pieces of shit and is like, you know what, I can make fun of all this stuff, then I'm there front and center, But I'm like, I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm surprised it's actually happening, but I'd be really shocked too if it would turn out to be any good.
What are your thoughts on Naked Gun with Liam Neeson?
Oh God, hell no! I'll see Spaceballs too. Before I would never see that piece of shit. That trailer was so stupid.
I didn't think it was that bad.
No, I'm like,
I didn't think it was that bad. I think that it has that little bit of, much like the originals did. It's like taking the piss out of
I didn't get that vibe at all. I thought the trailer of him dressed as a Girl Scout and then just merges into Liam Neeson. What the hell is this shit? Yeah. I'm just like, in Seth MacFarlane, Family Guy, I'm like, oh my God, like
it might be okay.
No, if the Zuckers were involved, I'd be a little bit more optimistic, but they're not. And
have they done anything at all lately?
The Zuckers?
Yeah.
I think they did one of those. I think they did a couple of those scary movie sequels or something like that. But by that point, I'm like, man, this is just like shitty references to like commercials on TV and stuff like that. These movies are dumb to begin with. I don't think they've done anything in a long time. But I remember I saw an interview with one of the Zucker brothers about a month or so ago, addressing like the fact that they were wanting to do it, and then it just got taken from them, and we're going to give it to Family Guy. He's going to do it, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, pretty much since Scary Movie, they haven't really done much of anything.
Yeah, so no, I have no faith in them honoring and maintaining that level of comedy that all three Naked Guns did so well. They're all about pushing people who don't know how to do these things that are in movies and television, animation, and comic books. Like how are people you think are just I know he's a good guy. Hire him to do it. Does he know how to do it? No, but he's a really good guy. Okay, hire the man.
I'll watch it when it hits streaming.
Of course you will.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Philippe, have y'all seen Predator Killer of Killers? Not bad. I've watched the first 30 minutes of it, but Emily and I need to finish it because this was when it came out when we started it, and it was really late. I haven't gone back to it yet, but so far enjoyable. I think, not entirely certain, but the middle section is the one with the ninja stuff. I don't think there's any dialogue in that. It's all just letting the animation and the action speak for itself. I think, but yeah, I should try to finish that this weekend.
I heard how it ends, so I probably won't watch it because I've read some spoilers about it. I'm like, okay. I think I'll pass on this. So,
go figure.
Yeah. I'm not going to beat that drum again and again and again. I just, it takes a lot to impress me anymore. Like I'm picky about it, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. But I just wish, there's so much potential with all these properties. But man, people just it's just like everybody just thinks they can do everything. It's just like, no, not everybody gets it, and unfortunately, they're the ones in charge.
Yeah, but that's okay because some people think Predator 2 Sucks.
Yeah, and you know they got
Speaking of
tree
which,
stumps.
Speaking of which, it was so hot this week. I felt like Danny Glover in Predator 2.
Very much, man. I loved it.
I hate summertime. God, it sucks ass.
Dude, you'll be begging this weather to come back. When winter comes back, it's below zero or wind chills, and your car's frosted up.
No, the only time I hate winter is when it's accumulated snow. Like a dusting of snow is fine. I don't mind the cold weather. I would much rather it be cold so I can add layers and then be hot and just be sitting there stuck to my clothes for 8 hours at work and just be like, this sucks. Summertime sucks ass. I really enjoyed Killer Killers while I was watching it, but on a recollection of it, it was so formulaic. So yeah, I think that's sort of the biggest problem with a lot of this stuff anymore. Like Sinners aside, for me, like Sinners, I'm gonna watch again. Some of this other stuff that's come out, it's a one and done. I'll watch it and be like, yeah, it was okay, or I liked it, but will I go back and watch it again? Yeah, probably not. And that's the bummer, because there's so many things out there that we've talked about on these shows for years that stand the test of time. It's something you want to go back and rewatch. It's something that you're thinking about rewatching after you've already seen it the first time, or I need to go to the theater and see it again, or I can't wait until the DVD would come out back in the day. I remember we went and saw Collateral a few times.
It's
when they announced the date for the DVD, you're like, oh, yeah, shit, yeah. And that was like the weeks where it seemed like every Tuesday we were buying a movie, a new release. So, yeah.
And I miss that. I miss
it too.
Going to the theater and you're like, you can't stop talking about it. You go back and now I got to buy the movie poster for it. Or I want to look up any interviews with the actors because I enjoyed it so much. And it's just like, nothing impresses me anymore because this is, as you said, very formulaic. Everything's played safe.
Yeah.
And the minute something isn't played safe and they took a chance and it bombs, like, see, this is why we always do the same shit over and over again.
Or they take a chance and it performs well, then it's on. We need a sequel for this, and Ryan Coogler's like, dude, that was it. Like, there is no Sinners 2.
Yeah.
So, like I said last week, or it was either last week or a couple weeks ago, I'm sure Warner Brothers be like, we got to green light it anyway. We have this guy over here had a really great idea. Tell him, Steve. And then Steve's like, yeah, what about we do this? It's brilliant. It's print it. People will go see it. It's a sequel, but is what.
Which I just can't help but feel like that's what most these council meetings at all the movie studios it's just a bunch of stiffs in suits who somehow got their way to the top, God knows how, and somehow have decided that they know the movie business better than anybody else. They're the ones that know the public.
Let me ask you about this, because Top Gun Maverick, the director of that, directed this F1 movie with Brad Pitt in it. Mm-hmm. The trailer seemed pretty decent, but kind of going back to what you were saying and what Johnny was saying, seems a bit formulaic.
It looks like Days of Thunder. It
does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's announced that Tom Cruise wants to do Days of Thunder too. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
So
he can actually drive the race car.
Yeah.
Because he does his own stunts.
He'll end up flipping the car and actually be in it. And,
yeah.
It's I don't know.
It's
which,
it looked decent, but it's one of those things where, I'll watch it when it comes to streaming. Nothing is hitting me. Sinners did that. I want to go see this in a theater. I don't get that vibe from much of anything hardly anymore. Like Fantastic Four, I'm gonna go see in theater, but I'm gonna wait after opening weekend is over because luckily this comes out when I'm gonna be off of work. So I could probably go see like a daytime viewing of it, a weekday or something, and not really have to worry about it. But just I'm looking here. I haven't watched the full trailer for it yet, but I've seen little like TV spots. I Know What You Did Last Summer. And it's like Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt are coming back, but they're like the old guard, much like the Scream movies, where it's like, we're coming back to tell these kids how they need to deal with what we dealt with. I'm like, why?
I watched the trailer for it just because, like, how bad can this be? I'm like, oh my God, this just looks like, I'm sure they're like, Freddie and Jennifer, like, they need work. Ghost Whisperer's not on TV anymore. Freddie's not writing wrestling anymore.
Yeah.
You know, they need work, and they're like, yeah, well, if it's only going to be good, I'll come back. Like, no, you'll come back no matter what. You know, it's just
it just sucks. I mean, I'm just looking here.
I mean, look back in the day. I know She Last Summer was a Scream knockoff, essentially. Like, it was not a Scream knockoff, like in terms of like what it was about, but it was made in reaction to how popular Scream was.
Yeah, the teen slasher genre,
and it was enjoyable. I haven't watched it in probably over 20 years, but I enjoyed. I saw it in theaters. I enjoyed the hell out of it. And
the sequel sucked.
Oh, the sequel sucked balls. I saw that in theaters. What a piece of shit that was.
Yeah,
Will Ben's son. Oh my god, who didn't see that coming?
Wasn't Jack Black playing like a stoner Jamaican guy?
Acting like a Rastafarian.
You know, I saw that. I saw that in theaters, and unfortunately, the theater was packed. And the time we got there, I think I was like second row, so I'm just like this the whole time, and I'm like, this sucks. But no,
I'd rather watch Jack Black in the Jack, where he plays a stoner, and that making equipment for Bruce Willis's character.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm here on the Fandango site, so we have F1 the movie, which we said it's almost kind of like just Days of Thunder.
Yeah.
Megan 2.0, so we have a sequel, which I watched that first Megan movie and it was okay. Apparently this one takes more of an action-oriented direction, so maybe that'll be like fun. The live-action version of How to Train Your Dragon, because I guess Disney did it, so I guess DreamWorks is like, well, fuck, we gotta do this.
We'll do live-action movies of everything we've ever animated.
Lilo and Stitch live action. Elio, which is the new Pixar movie, which that looked fine, and apparently he's not doing so well. So
that's
I guess
what I've heard.
Yeah. 28 years later, so a sequel. Apparently one of the zombies in that has like a giant cock. I don't know.
That's what they're selling it on. Come see the giant zombie cock.
Yeah, probably. And then it's just like, here's a movie called Sorry Baby, and then you got The Materialists. So there's like a couple of like non-sequel, like established IP stuff. Mission Impossible 27.
And that's not doing as good as they had hoped either, because the last one didn't do as well as they'd hoped, right?
Yeah, it's just sort of been diminishing returns.
Yeah.
But then it's like coming soon. Jurassic World Rebirth, Superman, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Fantastic Four. They're doing another fucking Smurfs movie.
Yes, I saw that too. I'm like, oh my god, like.
There's a movie here called Sketch. I don't know what this is. It looks. I have to look at a trailer for that. Apparently, yeah, it doesn't come out till August. Poster looks a little weird. Nobody 2, which that first Nobody movie was good, but it's just like, oh, is John Wick formula with here's another guy. Yeah, just looking at that is kind of all right. Toxic Avenger, I will go watch. Tyler, you watch the trailer. You like the design, but you don't like the fact that he's just short.
I thought he was going to still be, it was just, it's not what I was expecting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty solid though. If they shelved it that long, I think there's something to it. I think
that's something to the kind of a warning,
I honestly, I don't think so. I think the whole like "fuck you January" thing doesn't even exist anymore because it's just gonna be more sequels.
Well, there's garbage year round anyways. I feel like, it's like there are no more seasons. They can sit there and say it's summer season. Great movies, like no, great pieces of shit are coming out. Is what it is.
Yeah. Couple of things that we have here as Zentron. It's probably more like Fantastic Four, and it very well could much turn out to be that. I think I'm just trying to cling on to the hopes that maybe they've realized the missteps along the way. They realize that they're starting to lose a good chunk of the audience that they've built up, and hopefully between this and like Daredevil, Born Again, that they're all right. We're gonna kind of put more of the focus back on what made this get us to this point, but at the same time, it's Disney, so we'll see. But Johnny,
I'm not holding my breath on Fantastic Four, though. I'm
not either. But I'm gonna try. I'm gonna go into it with an open mind. Johnny's gonna go see it because he knows a few people on the FX team. And then to follow up, Elio was enjoyable. I mean, Pixar movies for the most part you're always going to get something decent at minimum. There's not
I look at I couldn't tell you any recent ones, but I feel like whenever I would see whatever new one they come out, it looks so uninspired. like whatever it is they're going for, the characters and stuff like that. I look back at the earlier Pixar movies, and I'm like, there was a lot of creativity, a lot of originality to it. Like the concept of Toy Story, the concept of Bugs Life, the concept of The Incredibles, the concept of Monsters Inc. Yeah. And now it just kind of looks like a lot of generic looking things made on a computer, and they're interacting with a bunch of other generic looking computer things. And it's, but it's made by Pixar people. It's like, hey, go see this shit. You'll be glad you did. And
no, they've it's for the most part. There's the bad Pixar movies for me is like Cars 2 sucked ass.
Well, yeah, Cars in general. Oh God,
that first one has some charm to it, but that second one was awful. I think I made like a list on my Letterboxd of just like I've been ranking Pixar movies. So go through it. There was one that they released. I think it was in 2020. Yeah, Soul. That one was pretty good.
I remember that. I forgot all about that movie.
Yeah, Soul was good. Inside Out was fun. Inside Out 2 was really good too. I thought that was a creative way of in a kid's mind they have the different emotions. So
yeah.
Honestly, the worst Pixar movies for me were like the sequels. So like Cars 3, Cars 2, Incredibles 2, Monsters University. There was a movie they did called Elemental, and that one didn't take to me that well.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
For the most part, like Pixar's pretty good.
I think Toy Story 3 was the last one I ever saw of theirs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Toy Story 4 is the weakest of the bunch.
I had my doubts about 3, but I'm like, man, after a fourth, I'm like, you know what? I don't care what you guys are selling. I have no faith that you guys are going to tell a compelling story and not feel like it's just, you know what, you're desperate at this point and just hope people would show up to see Buzz and Woody on the screen again, and that is it.
Yeah. So, and Johnny with a good point here in the chat. How to Train Your Dragon live action was really good, but it follows the original so closely that you ask, what's the point? And yeah, I agree with that. Disney's doing the same thing with their
live action. When I saw The Lion King, I'm like, this is the exact same movie, beat for beat, line for line. But it just looks terrible because the animals have no emotion.
Yeah.
Like, why did you bother making this? There's no point to it.
Yeah, I really don't understand it. It just, if anything, just re-release the original on theaters.
Yes. And for some reason, it made a ton of money. I'm like, for watching the same movie over again.
Yeah. But it also, I think there's just those people out there, much like Marvel. I think it's anything. Any Disney movie that comes out, those Disney adults with their kids are going to go, no matter what. So, dog shit, anything. It'd be like, what was it? Jim Carrey's Mr. Popper's Penguins?
Oh, yeah.
It's just anything. It's a Disney thing. I mean, that wasn't, I don't think, but it's a Disney thing. I love Disney. I love Disney so much. I hate Disney adults. Can we talk about that?
Go right, dude. Go ahead, man.
I hate Disney adults. The ones that like go to the park constantly, and that shit's like stupid expensive anyway. But all their whole personality is just Disney, just nothing but Disney. I got Disney Funko Pops everywhere, and it's like, all right, fine, but they got to beat you over the head with it. Like, look at me, I love Disney, and it's funny saying that as we sit here with action figures behind.
Yeah, but you and I are walking around on a daily basis, letting everyone know, hey, I like this. It's in your face. Deal with it. Just
yeah.
No, most people would not even know the stuff I'm into. Like people who know me, like they know over time. I mean, hell, you didn't know I was into immediately.
Yeah.
And vice versa. So the people who are just in your face, not shy about it, want you to know they're wearing like a double XL Winnie the Pooh shirt, or something like that. But
they I don't know. There's just something about Disney adults. Yeah, you see the personalities on social media. Maybe they're not like that in person. No, I would bet that they are, but just seeing, because there's a few friends I have on Facebook that it's just constant, like,
Well, and I feel like that they're probably like the ones that give what we like a bad name too, because I'm sure there are probably a lot of good Disney enthusiasts who appreciate the old school animation, the classic storytelling, have watched it progress, and maybe they like everything about it in terms of. But for whatever reason, you got ones that really make it look Well, and probably is a lot of overcompensation. And I think a lot of people too do that with a lot of stuff, from the stuff we're into, from sports, and they just want to be as obnoxious as possible about their views over a particular thing that they're into. You know, it's not enough just to wear a T-shirt that's subtle, that, you know, this is what I like, this is what I'm about.
Speaking of which, I'm surprised that you're just wearing a plain.
Well, I haven't been home long. Like I just went to the gym, get my hair cut, and I came straight home. So so that's why I haven't changed, or I haven't done anything like that. So normally, I would have something else a little bit more, focused on what we're talking about here today.
Pop culture centric.
Yeah,
I don't know. Honestly, it's just Disney adults. Like I have no qualms with any other fandoms.
Well, I guess I think about like the Marvel fans who are all about anything that Marvel puts out. They're going to be there. They think it's great. People are screaming and yelling at San Diego. Oh my God, you know, Robert Downey back is Doomsday. He'll be all quirky and witty, and it'd be great. And like, you guys don't give a shit what comes out, do you? Like, you guys will be there front and center for everything DC puts out, everything Marvel puts out, and you'll take it and you'll like it. You'll take it in the ass and do it again. Do it again. And it's just, you know.
I guess in that regard, some people don't have.
There's no terms of like, I don't care about quality. It it's I gotta have it. Is it new? Is it a new T-shirt? Is it a new toy? A new collectible? A new movie? I gotta be there, and I gotta tell you when I gotta do it, because I gotta do it on social media and let everyone know, hey, I'm here. I was there. And what do you gain out of that? Nothing.
Yeah. Well, the instant gratification, Tyler, that people know that you did something. I don't know.
That's why I'm glad I live in a bubble.
Yeah.
You know, this is outside of living day to day, and being on here. I don't need people to know what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, and how proud I am I've done this. And you all need to comment, like, and subscribe to me and my bullshit. You know.
But hey, speaking of liking and subscribing to bullshit.
This bullshit we'd like you to, because this serves a purpose. We're here to celebrate and encourage what makes us still good after all these years.
Yeah,
we're not.
We did that earlier, discussing the episode. We've made a conscious decision here that when we get into these rants and raves, we're going to do it at the end of the episode. That way, you get your fill.
We'd like to have some cohesion to our topics and not just it's all over the place. And then if you're listening to this, you're like, this is what you showed up for, and then all of a sudden it's just broken in the middle with, let me tell you about my view on politics, guy. And it's just like, okay, where did this come from? Nowhere. Yeah, I just felt compelled to, like, I want you to listen to me and my bullshit for a moment. Oh, we're talking about we're talking about He-Man and She-Ra.
Yeah. You know, but we get that out of the way now, and then after we jump, which
whatever comes to mind.
It always seems to end up back to the why are they making all this stuff? And that's the thing. It's eventually some other genre is going to step up and it'll move. I mean, I don't think there's a particular genre right now that's setting up to be the successor of.
Well, I think they're all suffering right now. I mean, you look where the status is at. It's nothing original. I mean, you have your random hits like Sinner, but for the most part, you know, the superhero genre is dying slowly, but it's bleeding bad. It just won't die right yet. Yeah, because they're hoping Superman and Fantastic Four are going to kickstart again, and I'm like, I don't think so. It's not good. They're not going to be movies that set the world on fire. They may do well in terms of a superhero movie that does okay,
or better than what's.
Yeah, compared to what else is coming out, they're like, hey, this was a big hit. Yeah, compared to all this other horse shit that's failing, it was going to make money on name alone.
Yeah,
you know, but they'll look at it as like, hey, everyone loved it. You see, these people know what they're doing. You know, like.
We'll see how it turns out. The shirt I'm wearing today actually came in yesterday, so I'm like, I got to wash it and wear it, because I want to be hopeful that it'll be good, but I'm at a point in my life, and we talked about it. It's not going to affect me either way. I go see it, and I'm like, because I mean, the Fantastic Four have not really been treated that kind anyway, theatrically, so it would just be another notch in the belt for that. But I watch it, assess, give it a star rating, occasionally a review on my Letterboxd, and then I'm move on with my life. Zentron's for sure that's gonna suck. So we'll see.
Outside, like, I'm really curious to see how Galactus is gonna look and how he's portrayed.
Yeah,
hopefully they're not gonna screw that up.
Yeah, that's the biggest.
Yeah, thing. And I'm glad, at least so far, I haven't seen other than the teasers. You know, because I don't.
We'll watch the newest trailer. I'm pretty sure your reaction is just gonna be like, nah.
That's what worries me.
Yeah.
JSP I've heard rumblings of what the climax is supposed to be. I'm like, are you serious? This is what they're doing to the climax?
I've seen some of the stuff that people are putting out there, and
I'm like, man, dude, you guys just can't stop fucking this stuff up, can you?
But JSP says, let's not forget, years ago we crapped on Spielberg for saying that the superhero movie will eventually go the way of the Western.
I never cried. I just felt like, even though I was fed up with how super movies are going when Scorsese and Spielberg, I mean, yeah, they will. And Nathan said many years ago, the bubble will burst, and it has burst already. Mm-hmm. And now the studios are just scrambling because they relied so much on superhero movies to make so much money that like they're not investing in anything else.
Yeah,
and it will die down. And it would be nice if we got one superhero movie every couple of years. If done right, I'd say, you know what, don't bother at all.
Yeah,
if the people have not learned their lessons from the many missteps that Disney's done and what Warner Brothers has done, just say stop it. That's why I just like reading the old comics, because the new ones aren't for me. From people who don't know what the hell they're doing. I just rather watch Batman '89, and I'd rather watch Days of Future Past and First Class and
Days of Future Past. Surprised, I was not expecting it to be as good as it was.
Yeah. Even though it takes liberties with the storyline, still I found it very enjoyable.
Yeah,
and
but then they turn right around and
made that shitty Apocalypse, and
so it's just like one step forward, 5 steps back kind of thing.
Yeah, and you just get tired of like getting excited about the idea of like, wouldn't it be cool if there was a really good Fantastic Four movie? Like, that'd be awesome. I mean, I think we all as fans know what that would look like. That all these things have potential. That's why it would be a great idea. Unfortunately, it's always in the hands of people who don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, well, it's like
will continue to be that way.
Well, you look at the part of it. It's like, okay, yeah, it's gonna take place. Looks like it's gonna take place in the '60s. Got this little retro vibe, and at some point, and you'll see in the trailer when I show you. I think there's probably like the time warp change, because somehow we probably got to get this Fantastic Four to integrate. It's like, no, man, just tell a standalone Fantastic Four story in the '60s with Galactus and Silver Surfer. That's all we need. I don't need it to connect to this to build up something more. They need to just go back to that formula. Just make a standalone movie. And if you want to make a sequel to that, keep it contained with what you told in that first movie. We've mentioned this plenty of times. We would love to see a Daredevil movie in the 70s. I would love to see a Luke Cage and Iron Fist movie take place in the 70s. It doesn't have to cross pollinate with Daredevil.
A Blade movie in the 70s with classic 70s Dracula.
Yeah.
Spider-Man in the 60s. I think that'd be awesome with like a Dr. Octopus and Green Goblin in the 60s.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing. And see what Mysterio would look like in the 60s. All brilliant ideas, but no, they're like, no, that's too much of a good idea. We need to modernize it so we can reference social media and Instagram and all that shit.
Yeah.
It's just again, the people who knew how to make good movies, they're not working in Hollywood anymore.
Yeah.
They've all been weeded out.
Punisher in the 70s.
Punisher in the 70s, man.
Punisher in the 80s. Rock. Punisher like in the 80s with like Reagan era crackdown on drugs and just all that cracks rampant and cocaine and just have that would be amazing.
That superheroes set in particular decades and just focus, and that's where they exist and that's where they'll stay. Don't mess with it.
Yeah.
I couldn't be happier. Providing you have people who aren't afraid to make a gutsy superhero movie, and it's not brighten it up for the kids, as Jack Nicholson would say.
Yeah.
Because that's obviously they keep saying kids will never get to experience like genuine fear and excitement the way we did when we were kids, because we were shown movies, that were made for kids that were a lot more gutsy. Plus, we also had access to movies meant for adults that parents back then were a lot more lenient about such things, whereas today parents of our age or younger are not too comfortable showing their kids rated R movies at age 5 and 4.
I have to stop and think about that sometimes. It's like, parents we are the parent age.
Yeah, we are the parents. And I'm thinking like, I still would love to show my nephews Jaws, because I saw Jaws when I was 5 and didn't have nightmares. I wasn't scared to go in the ocean. It was just fascinating. And I think, my oldest would probably be, I think they really enjoy it. But I just don't know how they'd respond, And then again, too, my brother and my sister-in-law have to deal with the ramifications of that.
True.
I don't.
Right.
So it's having to play it safe, but it's just a shame that me and my brother turned out just fine. You turned out just fine by being shown movies that were inappropriate for us as kids, but that curiosity was more available to us. I think kids today, my nephews don't know who Freddy Krueger is. They don't know who Jason Voorhees is. They don't know, what.
Well, but that's also like those characters aren't really in pop culture.
Well, I'm thinking like as part of the experience of going to a video store. I knew what.
Yeah, Freddy but those don't exist anymore.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that the internet, as we all know, has changed so much where your neighbor can become a star overnight because he makes shit out of macaroni. Whereas back then, if you made a movie or on TV, it had more value.
Yeah.
Whereas anyone now can just sit here in front of their iPad.
Basically, we've just made stupid people famous. So
that's all we've done, and that has become the superstars in America and all over the world. People who don't do shit have become stars. And the things that really were selling T-shirts and magazines and posters and getting people's asses into theaters and going to the video store. Yeah, that too. And, it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And to think people go to the movie theater just so they can go on TikTok and say, I was here. Here's my ticket, guys.
I don't think no one's doing that.
Well, I felt like doing that for people, Marvel movies up to a certain point because it was like, I'm here. It's Infinity War. Oh my God!
I think you're looking back at like 7 to 10 years ago. Yes.
Well,
times have changed.
I've been so.
I know you're in the bubble. You're in the bubble.
I'm in the bubble. I think keep it that way.
JSP mentioning we'll go the way of the Western. I would like to see Westerns come back. I would like to see the sexy
thrillers come back. Yeah.
I'd like to see those. Maybe like some just good mobster dramas again.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think a lot of this old school stuff, but I just feel like people are afraid to take chances because they keep thinking, well, their target audience is always teenagers and younger. It's like they don't care about making movies for adults anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they rely
the people with the money. We don't want their money. We want the people who don't have the money.
And then they rely too much on us for like the nostalgia bait, and half of us now are just like, I've already seen this, or I don't want to see it.
Yeah, or I bought this when you did it right the first time. I'm not going to buy it again because you don't know how to color or draw or make it right. Again.
Just go back to the Roger Corman movie. I would like to see Roger Corman-esque bad movies make it.
I would like to see the Roger Corman movie given the special effects treatment and voiceover work that it deserves. I think if they would fix it up a little bit, and do some proper voiceover and special effects work, man, why not make it?
It's a fun, goofy.
See, the thing about that movie is like they were trying to make a good movie on no money. People today don't mind making a movie that just takes the piss out of the source material because they don't really care about it and don't take it seriously. These guys were trying to make the best Fantastic Four movie possible. That's why I respect that movie.
Yeah.
They didn't come along like Michael Bay and just, put flames all over everything, just take the piss out of it, and Bumblebee's pissing on people. And it's like, what the fuck is this shit?
Watch the documentary on the Roger Corman.
Oh, I did. It's too short. It's too short.
Well, I know, but I'm recommending it to people to watch it. Yeah. For even though it's short, it's very entertaining and awesome.
Oh yeah.
What do we got? Rebel Wookie joining in late. Go back earlier to watch our discussion. Very cautiously optimistic about Superman, just because I love Guy Gardner.
That's another thing that worries me is that they have not learned their lesson of like trying to cram too many people into one movie. When like, can you get one good movie off the ground first? And it's like, no, we're going to bring in Mr. Terrific and Guy Gardner. I think Hawkman's in it too. I think, or was that Hawk Girl? It's just like, dude, man, like, can you do one thing right before you start trying to tease people thinking, hey, these guys are coming, but you got to come see this piece of shit first.
Yes, but also at the same time, if it's just strictly just nothing more than another Superman and Lex Luthor thing, I'm like,
but I'm like,
honestly, it would have been nice to have Lex Luthor there, but like, can we just give me Brainiac or something, like anything?
I mean, I just feel like you could have easily done something with having Lex Luthor as an observer in the background, setting him up for a sequel.
So, yeah, just to hopefully, I mean, hopefully Superman will be good. Hopefully Fantastic Four will be good.
Well, but even though, like, I think too, like, even though I come to appreciate Gene Hackman's portrayal of Lex Luthor, which as a kid I didn't like at all. You know, I was more, you know, used to how Clancy Brown portrayed him in the animated series, and like that's Lex Luthor to me. The you know the massive, you know, businessman that emerged in the '80s during John Byrne's run. That's Lex Luthor to me, and yet they have not done that right on live action since. Now you got the shitty Kevin Spacey version that was supposed to try to homage what was done with Gene Hackman's version. Like that movie sucked, and we all know why. Jesse Eisenberg comes along and it's like, oh, that sucked. We all know why. It's just like they haven't got Lex Luthor right yet in terms of like the current Lex Luthor. Like if they want to go back and do old school and do like it's like the mad scientist Lex Luthor or something like that, which I'm like, whatever. But I like they still haven't gotten Lex Luthor right on the big screen. I had no problem with Nicholas Hoult playing him. He looks the part. Mm-hmm. But I still feel like it's going to be a movie where it's just gears more towards comedy because James Gunn, he's the comedy guy. If you want a comedic superhero movie, you hire him. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's why I'm like, I will not see it. I have no interest in seeing it. And, you know,
I might, maybe in a few weeks after it's been released, I might go see it. But at the same time, I'm like, all right, Warner Bros. It'll be on Max in a couple months.
Yeah. And plus, I am genuinely just sick of superhero movies. There's nothing that impresses me at all because I'm just.
I agree with you. Yeah, I'm pretty much there too. Yeah. Like I said, hopefully hopeful about this. Exploitation movies, yeah. Let's get some of the exploitation back too.
I'm down with that too, but you got to blame it on the studios, man. They don't have the balls to do anything like that because they don't want adults going to see gritty, you know, exploitation, violent movies with, you know, sex, violence, and bullets and blood. Like, no, we got to get the kids in, the ones with the smallest attention span to see a 3-hour movie. You know,
but back then they would put that shit out, and it's like, you know what? Let's make a toy line out of this. Here you go, kids. Something for everybody.
Yeah, it's just again, they're just dumb. They're all everything's run by a bunch of wieners, and you all know it.
Well, with that, we'll go ahead and cap off this episode. Hope everyone enjoyed our She-Ra episode discussion. Hope everyone got a little bit and got some laughs out of us complaining about current Hollywood as we do. If you enjoyed this, like the episode, leave a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on all these movies coming out. And just any other stuff that we talked about in this episode. Subscribe. Do that. Help us out a little bit. And until next time, let the power return. Or until later, let the power return.
You know who I am? Taramis. Queen Taramis. Not my queen. We covered this a good ways back, too.
Clash of the Titans.
No, but you're in the ballpark.
In the ballpark. Seventh Voyage of Sinbad.
No, you're going too far back.
Going too far back. I don't know.
Like Burger Thing all over again. I don't know. Conan the Destroyer.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a long while ago when we covered that.
Yeah, it was.
That was a long time ago. We should tier list barbarian films. That should be a topic we should do.
I feel like only with Beastmaster, the 2 Conan films are the only ones that come to mind for me, and Red Sonja.
Deathstalkers.
I guess at this point I could say I'm like we're gonna tear them with Conan and Red Sonja and Beastmaster.
Yeah, why not? What's the one? Is it just called Barbarians, where it's like the two? It's like the twin brothers.
Barbarians.
Yeah,
it's like a canon movie too, isn't it?
Yeah. That movie is pretty shit.
I know. Richard Lynch plays the villain in that, I think too.
And Zentron. I don't get most of these quotes, Zentron. Come on.
Yeah, I really have got to go like training wheels with the quotes. Like I have got to go like, so blatant, like,
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, say the name of the movie.
My memory is awful, and it's like certain stuff just doesn't stick out to me in the way that it does with Tyler.
Like if I say Pizza Dude, it's got 30 seconds. Like Nathan knows what that
is.
Ninja
Turtles, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this town needs an enema. Nathan knows what that is.
Batman 89, or if Tyler's like, is that your skis? Both of them? I know what that's from.
Yeah. But I have got to go with like the stuff you would find on a T-shirt, or that would be used in the trailers a lot. Typically.
Probably.
But on occasion he'll surprise you and get something. But yeah. I mean, it's not meant to stump him, but it's just a send off on the show. And
the memory is not as good as it used to be.
Yeah,
we're getting old, man.
Take care, everyone.
We took a vote.
God damn it! Nobody's vote counts around here but mine. Get your gear on and get your fat ass behind a plate before I kick it up there.